Okay, you are not going to hear me say at any point during the next 6.5 months, which is the lead up to the November presidential election, you are not going to hear me say, Joe Biden's got this. I'm just not going to do it for two reasons. Number one, I actually believe it's going to be a fight to the end. And I think there's a very good chance Donald Trump ends up getting himself reelected. But I'm also not going to say it because I don't want to risk a single person hearing me say something like that and deciding that Joe doesn't need their vote and they can stay home or vote third party or whatever the case may be. There is a path to Trump's reelection that includes the effects of coronavirus on Democratic turnout, combined with Trump successfully using the virus to bamboozle and goad his base into thinking he did a great job with the virus, plus Trump doing just enough to keep the stock market buoyed, I think is the term I would use, so that it kind of looks like the economy is okay, even though it's imploding. But I also am not going to hide the polling from you. So that's why I want to talk today. We have national polls that look good for Biden. We have state polls that look very, very mixed for Joe Biden. So let's look at some examples, starting with the general election. In the general election hypothetical polls, Joe Biden is currently winning by an average of 5.5 points. Now, this ranges in a tie on Fox News, in Fox News' latest poll, all the way up to Biden leading by 11 in a recent CNN poll, and everything in between. And the average is that Biden is up 5.5. Now, let's think about 2016. In 2016, the national polling average going into the election was Hillary up 3.3, and Hillary ended up winning nationally by 2.1. So the polls were close. They were off by about a point in terms of the national popular vote. Of course, we have an electoral college system, and despite losing the popular vote badly, Donald Trump won the electoral college. Now, currently, Joe Biden, at 5.5 points ahead, has a much bigger lead than Hillary Clinton did going into the 2020 election. But remember, the electoral college system still would allow Donald Trump to win, even if he lost the popular vote by, 5.5 points would be a stretch. But if Biden wins the popular vote by 4, it's still very possible that Donald Trump could win the electoral college. It would be tough, but it would be doable. So now let's look at some individual states. North Carolina is not looking great for Joe Biden. There's a recent North Carolina poll where Trump is 7 points ahead of Joe Biden. Back in 2016, Trump won North Carolina by only 3. If Trump doubles his margin of victory in North Carolina from 2016 to 2020, it's a signal of very bad things for Joe Biden. But then we've got some places where it's looking very bad for Donald Trump. Arizona is one example. We talked earlier in the show how Republican incumbent Senator Martha McSally is losing by 9 to Democratic Senate challenger Mark Kelly. Well, Joe Biden is winning by an average of 4.4 and by as much as 9 in one poll in Arizona. That's a state Trump won in 2016. If Arizona goes from Trump winning by 4 to Biden winning by 4, that's an 8-point swing. And it's very, very bad for Donald Trump. Virginia is another example. Right now in Virginia, Biden's winning by an average of 7 and by as much as 10 in the latest poll. Hillary only won by 5 in 2016. So again, if Virginia goes from Hillary plus 5 to Biden plus 7, 8, or 9, or even 10, that is very bad for Trump. So what's the takeaway? The takeaway is, no matter what the polls say, go and vote. Ask for an absentee ballot if that's what your state is doing. Do not sit this one out because it is likely to be a huge fight. I was talking over the weekend on Zoom with a few friends who are very much journalists, writers, etc. Many of them feel that November is going to be a blowout. They just don't know who's going to win. The idea being it won't be close. Either Biden will very much pull away with it or Trump will very much pull away with it based on what's going on with coronavirus and the economy. If that's the case, then we're going to have to fight very, very hard for it to be Biden, for Biden to be the one who pulls away. Of course, predictions are often wrong and it may well be close and it may come down to just a couple of states. So it will be a huge fight. Anything that makes you think we've got this is very dangerous thinking. And I would encourage you to disabuse yourself of those notions. Do not get confident. They have every trick up their sleeve. And with the wild card of coronavirus and people possibly staying home to avoid the virus, anything can happen. Anything can happen. Last thought. After seeing Donald Trump this week talk about how he has absolute power, he can tell governors what to do, he can demand and enforce that businesses be reopened. After seeing Trump's authoritarian slide this week, I am increasingly skeptical that Trump would leave peacefully if he loses to Biden. Now, I want to be really careful. I'm not saying Trump would succeed in not leaving if Biden wins. I just mean it won't be peaceful in that Trump will claim it was rigged. He will claim it was stolen. He will claim Joe Biden didn't really win. He may even try to start some kind of legal challenges. I do believe he will leave, but I am increasingly skeptical that Trump will leave what I would describe in a peaceful manner. I do believe he ultimately will leave. Let me know what you think about that. We're going to continue coverage of this issue and others on the David Pakman Show Instagram page. That's at David Pakman Show. Follow me at david.pakman on Instagram. Later today, I am going to phase 2 of my 2020 Urban Garden. I will be tracking and reporting all of it on my Instagram account at david.pakman. A nice break of levity from the coronavirus fiasco. I've got something really cool today. The first 500 people who see this video and go to davidpakman.com/skill will get a premium membership to Skillshare for 2 months for free. Skillshare is the online learning community offering thousands of classes on almost anything you can imagine. Everything's taught by experts. The classes get split up into bite-sized lessons. So even if you're really busy like me, you can fit Skillshare into your schedule. There are classes on drawing, painting, photography, video editing, web design, running a small business. And that's not even scratching the surface. I got some great ideas from a recent class I took called YouTube Success. And even though we've been on YouTube for years, I still got a lot out of it. They have classes for every skill level, whether you want to get better at something you're already experienced in or you want to explore something totally new. And like I said, the first 500 people who see this video and go to davidpakman.com/skill will get a completely free premium membership for 2 months, giving you access to every class Skillshare offers. Check it out. I put the link right underneath this video.